Why are you so excited to be starving your body?
I don't see it that way at all. I see it as progression.
Such a deficit. You're putting your body into a starve.
No, hold on. But then next week, if it's a feed, I'm so excited to get to 2,200 or 2,700 or 1,800 or whatever it is. Like, yeah, I don't see this as starving my body. I see this as just like when I'm lifting heavy and it hurts now, I'm going like, yes, this is progress.
That does not sound like food freedom to me. Eventually, I would like to get you honoring your hunger cues and being able to receive that feedback from your body and work with it, and weighing and measuring your food, and you mentally, because that's part of your control mechanism, telling your body this is how much we're going to eat, is not sustainable long term. So for the structure of our challenge,
Alex, to whom is it not sustainable long term?
Look, feedback is feedback. In my opinion, there was no conflict here. This was just three people who are trying to work with each other, but there was clearly something that wasn't meshing. And then Alex and I were coming from a point where we're a little bit confused. We're like, we were totally against the 90-day reset, but you went ahead and did it anyway. So I think that was I think that's probably the conflict that you're feeling, because to us, it was just this huge smack in the face. And we were like,
yeah,
okay, we're going to reset.
Alex, you look like you've been kidnapped.
I'm in a cottage full of sleeping people.
Okay. You look like you're about to hold up a newspaper to prove the day.
I thought about sitting outside, and it's -12 out here.
Oh, isn't that cold?
Up north it is, yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. You know what we'll do? Let's just have a nice calm conversation. We'll just speak in soothing tones. So good morning, everyone. It is bright and early. It is the Easter weekend. It's not bright and early?
It's just early.
It's dark and early.
It's dark and early. It's the Easter weekend. And we have Neil, my personal trainer. We have Alex, my registered holistic nutrition practitioner. Registered nutrition. What is it? Registered holistic nutrition practitioner?
Holistic registered nutrition practitioner.
I knew the words. It's the order that always gets me. And we are talking Chunk To Hunk challenge. Obviously, I dropped the bombshell this week, and we've been working through the idea of a reset and what that means. And this morning, we're just doing a bit of a regroup. Now that we're going to just basically get everything out in the open and work through these things, and then see where we land. I mean, that's my goal. I don't know what each of your goal is out of this call, but what do you guys think?
I think we're going into week 6, which will now be week 1 again. And that's going to, we're going to have to bring you back to where we started from, exercise, calorie wise. So you've almost had like an advantage now of resetting like this instead of starting from where you were. I also think that part of the process in any challenge that you sign up for is that there is going to be that adjustment period in the beginning where you're figuring out, okay, I've signed up for this idea, this dream, this goal. Now what's actually expected of me?
Yes. So I think to share what's expected, if I'm going to be really direct now, to share what's expected, I need to know the plan. And from day one, I didn't know what was happening week to week. I didn't know where we were going. I didn't know what would be expected of me. I didn't know like the cycles or the arc of anything. So I couldn't forecast anything. I couldn't provide feedback. Like if I don't know 3 weeks from now that something may be happening, I can't give you feedback this week for next week's changes. So that way 3 weeks from now, I understand what to expect. So yes, whenever you sign up for a new challenge based on a dream, 100%, you don't know what's in front of you, but I think just by the nature of me being so in the dark as to what would happen, like I don't even know. Like when you like just now you said, okay, so we're going back to week 1. Do we have to go back to week 1? I mean, I don't want to ignore all the work that we've done. I've seen a ton of change. I'm really, really happy with how I even said to Jacqueline yesterday, like if after this is all said and done, I look exactly like I look now, I would be happy looking like this for a very long time. Like I think I look in a month, I think I look really, really great and I love it. Yeah, I didn't know what I didn't know, but also I think on your side, me having an understanding or even a sit down of like, okay, there's a 12-week plan. this is how the 12 weeks are going to work. This is what you can expect. This is what it might change. We're not quite sure by week 6, this and this and this, but really having that forecast or that understanding of what could come would have helped me provide maybe more feedback a little bit in advance as opposed to being so reactive.
I think in life, you're always going to be thrown things that don't always go as planned. So we can try to provide you with as much plan as possible, but until we figure out how your body's responding, the plan's going to change week to week based on that. And that's why with any of the clients that we work with, and we have other clients we're doing 12-week programs with as well, they don't have a forecast. We go week by week, and the time and dedication for the meals and the exercise stays the same.
But hold on, I'm still going to challenge you on that because I've pushed back 2 or 3 times on this, and every time you respond the same way. There's a difference between me not understanding how the 12 weeks will go at all. And I mean, you guys have a plan. Like the other day you mentioned on a call, well, if your birthday was on May 1st, that would have been much harder because you would be on a lean period, not a feed period. Like you knew that. So even though things will change in nuance from week to week, or 1,700 or 1,600 or 1,800 or whatever it is calories, I mean, you guys still have an arc, right? Like you still have a plan that you want to work me through, right? We're not just making everything up each week, right?
No.
Like, I know how much time and dedication you put into this. I just don't know what's to come. Like, it's literally like there's this, like, you guys have this, you've done this before, you've done this with other people, you have this idea, you have this plan. I have no idea what's happening 3 weeks from now.
So we can lay out the entire plan. So it's a little bit different between the fitness side of it and the nutrition side of it, because I lean heavily on Alex, because the way that she's going to feed you is the way that I'm going to train you. So we can sit here and we can show you your periodization. We can say, this is the next 12 weeks. And you can be like, great, I love it, I know it, this is what's going to happen. But depending on how your body reacts, your compliance, maybe there's something happens in your schedule and you fall short a day or 2 days, then that 12-week periodization shifts entirely. Mm-hmm. So you may go into it being like, okay, but week 6 says I'm supposed to be in a cut phase. But if X, Y, Z didn't follow through, we can turn around and be like, well, we need to adjust now. So there's being prepared, but there's being reactive, but we also need to be a little bit reactive on our end. So there could be those subtle changes or even maximum changes happening in the future. Like, we don't know how your body is going to react. We don't know what's going to happen in your day to day. Does that make sense?
Yes. I think the difference is just in execution. Because what I'm saying is, if you know that things are going to cycle down in calories, mm-hmm. and then up in muscle mass, and then down in this, like I'm talking just broad strokes for how this thing would most likely work. What might change is the timelines, or like, you plan for a 1 week cut, it turns into a week and a half or a 2 week cut. But the steps are still the steps, aren't they?
Yeah, I feel like what we could do then, maybe we can foreshadow what we're anticipating to happen in the next 3 weeks, maybe.
Okay.
Instead of giving you like the full spectrum, because I think if we showed you the full 12 weeks, I think you'd be a little bit overwhelmed and you'd be like, oh my gosh, like this is a lot of information.
I don't think so.
I'm nervous about this.
I don't think so. Like through the month, I was asking 3 weeks ago, I asked Alex, I was like, hey, can we move to like weighing stuff? Can we move to this stuff? And your response was, I don't think you're ready for this yet. I don't know what you guys are worried about telling me, but a lot of times I'm asking for more information. And so I don't think I would be overwhelmed if I knew it was to come. I have generalized anxiety disorder. I'm future focused. So me not knowing causes worry. Me having structure doesn't. Me having discipline like removes the fact I wear a black shirt every single day is because then I don't have to make a decision on what to wear. Like structure helps me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. That's fair. And Alex and I mean, we can look at that, and we can look at, because I mean, I feel like we can look at the periodization. We can look at what we can share with you to avoid you feeling anxious about the process, but also being able to protect our process as well. Because again, I would hate to show you the 12 weeks and you get excited about week 7, and then Alex and I turn around and be like, well, week 7 needs to change now for whatever reason.
Right.
I mean, even you could be 100% compliant, but maybe your body's not reacting a certain way. So we have to extend, or we have to shorten, or we have to shock the system. how would you feel about that?
I'm fine with that. Like
Okay.
last week we were at 1750 calories. This week we're at 1600. I was telling you, like, I'm so excited to get 1600.
Why are you so excited to be starving your body?
I don't see it that way at all. I see it as progression.
Such a deficit. It's not. It's you're putting your body into a starve.
No, hold on. But then next week, if it's a feed, I'm so excited to get to 2200 or 2700 or 1800 or whatever it is. Like I'm so excited to move through this. I'm so proud of the first month. I'm so proud of the lessons I've learned. I'm so proud of the change that I've seen in my body. Like it's ridiculous. When I'm working out, I'm looking at like myself on the reflection of the TV, and I'm just like I'm so proud of the progress that, and I'm living this. So I'm super invested in what we're doing. I don't need us to get down to 1400 calories. I don't need us to get down to 1000 calories. I'm just so excited to, I don't see this as starving my body. I see this as just like when I'm lifting heavy and it hurts now, I'm going like, yes, this is progress. Like this is progress. But I've made sure not to go too aggressive in all kinds of things. You know, I've in the weightlifting the last few days, I've just done the same weights without increasing the weight. Like I'm not like seeing every single workout, how hard can I push? It's just more like, okay, I'm going to stay with 25 pounds. I'm going to stay with 25 pounds. Maybe I'll try 30 for a few reps and see how it goes. But I just don't see it as like, I can't wait to starve myself. Do you know what I mean, Alex?
I think the relation there is you're saying you're so excited to drop into a deficit. I think that's what Alex is asking is like, what's the excitement behind getting down to 1600 calories? That's kind of the question she's asking for. Because we understand like, you're dropping down to 16 and then you can go into a refeed. But what is it about that? What makes you so excited about decreasing your calories even more? Is it is it progression? Is it progress?
I've never calorie counted before. I've never really lived within a calorie max. I've never lived with the ability to say like right now with our current days, between 1 p.m. and 6 p.m., I'm quite hungry. Now, the breakfasts are very, very filling, and the evening snack is very, very good and filling, and I love it so much. But now I know it's like, oh, okay, I can be hungry for those 4 hours, and I can get through it, and I don't need a snack, and I don't need to go to the fridge, and I don't need to stand there and open stuff, and I don't need to, Jacqueline made a homemade carrot cake yesterday that I was smelling. Like, I don't need to eat that. It's okay. I'm proving to myself that I've never really lived on a calorie restricted diet, but I can. I've never, I was super invested in keto. I'm not invested in keto now because I'm invested in this structure. And so I look forward to my breakfasts. I look forward to the carbs I'm eating. I look forward to my dinner. Like, I just like finding something that works for me and having it work for me. And right now what's happening is like, it's just like, what about this? And what about this? And it's just like every 3 days, there's just so much change that I'm just getting comfortable with what I'm doing. And then it's like new change. And it's like, okay. And then I'm just getting comfortable with that. And it's a new change. But so when it's like, hey, let's go to 1600, for me, it's like, can I do this? I can do it. Awesome. I did it. And then, you know what I mean?
I think that's really cool. I think that's really exciting that you're seeing progress within yourself and shifting the way that you think and the way that you're approaching this. I think that's really exciting and really awesome. So kudos to you. It's awesome. No, I think that's amazing. Because before, when you look back to the beginning, like the very, very beginning, you were very nervous about this. You were like, oh my gosh, I've been doing keto for so long and I found huge success. And the fact that Alex was able to shift your nutrition and your way of thinking, your approach to nutrition is pretty remarkable. So I think you should be super proud about that. That's amazing.
Well, this is where the uncomfortable conversation we're having now is. I don't think, yes, I've shifted on time of day and, I don't have indigestion and all these things, but I know, Alex, you've dedicated your life to holistic nutrition and being full spectrum. And I continue to go back to like even in my notes that I sent today, it's like performance nutrition, or like making everything simpler. And so I think we're going to be bumping up against that all the time. So to start with, I was like keto because it's simple and structured. And then we've expanded to this like really holistic whole food nutrition. And I want to get back to like, great, how do we narrow down this structure as much as possible? Whatever structure we're in, just how do we make it as narrow as possible? And so I think that's what we're bumping up against, basically, is that I want to always simplify, refine, and make things more efficient. And this very, very holistic approach just makes everything far more complicated than I think it needs to be for me. So I don't know how we address that.
I have also studied sports nutrition, and so I am applying that knowledge to your meal plans. There is a reason that there is variety in it, and it's not the same food 7 days a week. There's a reason digestively for bioavailability of foods, for your protein and amino acid pool that will circulate in your blood after you eat it for 24, 48 hours until your body metabolizes all the amino acids. So there's a reason behind that. I can switch in the meal plan program to give you a grams amount because you like the numbers and the data. My worry is you wanted to make this sustainable and lifelong, and weighing and measuring for serving sizes is sustainable long-term, but using the scale at every meal is not something that is long-term.
To who? I'm going to challenge you here now. To who is this not long-term? Because the other day on the call, I said your version of sustainability is not my version of sustainability. And so to who, the reason I could live for 2 years or a year and a half in the keto diet is because my version of sustainability is what I'm telling you guys right now. I will go to the keg and I will bring a scale with me and I will weigh a steak. I'm not embarrassed to do that. That does not bother me. And if in 6 months or a year I move to a different structure, I do. But my version of sustainability is the feedback I'm giving you guys right now.
That does not sound like food freedom to me. Eventually, I would like to get you honoring your hunger cues and being able to receive that feedback from your body and work with it, and weighing and measuring your food, and you mentally, because that's part of your control mechanism, telling your body this is how much we're going to eat, is not sustainable long term. So for the structure of our challenge,
Alex, to whom is it not sustainable long term?
So if I use Neil as an example, when he's not in prep or working towards his physique challenge, he does not weigh all of his food. For any of my other clients, for the international group that I work with, any of them, and they are triathletes, they are running ultra marathons, they are athletes. After their prep period, they go back to honoring and nourishing their body as the hunger cues come up, not based on the scaled amount of food.
Right. So I can go off of 8 ounces of steak to a medium steak, and it achieves the same thing, right?
Yes.
So while we're in this challenge, while we are in this challenge, I can have everything as grams. I can have everything as cups. I can have everything as ounces. When we go off of this challenge, I could choose at home to continue to do that if I want to. But if I want to go visit a friend or something, I could also just portion control myself, right?
Yes.
But all of that is the tactics. That has nothing to do with the I want to make sure that you're honoring hunger cues, and there's this extra layer of appreciation you want me to have for food that I just don't have right now. I just don't. I don't know. I just don't have that right now. So.
And if I go back to our first conversation, that's something that I understood that you wanted to work on, was this relationship with food outside of just the physique challenge. Am I wrong in that? Because I believe that's what we discussed in our beginning calls.
And maybe yes, maybe 100%. I'm sure that I must have said that, and you must have interpreted that, and we spent a month doing that, and now I'm like, oh, now that I know what I know, here's some extra feedback.
So I can change in the meal planning program that it will give you the grams instead of the cups if you prefer to do it that way.
100%, yes, please.
It's okay. It's not going to change your results that much. I've used, as you've already mentioned a few times from the work that we've done over the past 5 weeks, you've already noticed a difference in the meal plans that you were getting. So I can change it in the system. That's fine. And we'll just continue on that way.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so being more specific so in terms of the breakdown of feedback that I've kind of given, a big part of this is making sure that this works for the family, that this works for the schedule. So on the meal plan side, it really came down to the the complexity of the meals. So every meal in itself looks simple, but has way more ingredients and is far more complex to prepare than I think is necessary. And of course, you're putting the plans together, so you have a very different point of view. I think that they're all focused on recipes as opposed to just intake. Like you should have this amount of intake, or you should be able to do this, as opposed to these, complex recipes. And then there is, again, like I mentioned, a ton of inconsistency, or there's, like, just from my point of view, a lack of precision. If we're trying to hit 1,600 calories per day, but one of my meals is a fillet of halibut, it's like, I figured out very quickly, like the other day I ran out of halibut. So I went out to the grocery store and I found a fresh piece, and I got one piece, but it just ended up cooking so differently. So amongst this, it's not just the, like, hey, can we turn a medium zucchini into 9 ounces of zucchini? It's like, there's an opportunity to simplify and make everything more precise, because I don't understand the point of, like, specific gram macro hits, or specific calories that you're trying to hit, or specific nutrients that we're trying to hit. If when you boil down to, like, when I'm sitting there chopping the stuff and throwing it into a pot, there's tons of wiggle room and things like that. So to me, it just makes sense if everything is locked down kind of from top to bottom.
Okay. I'll change the meal plan. Now, I do use a meal planning program, and that is how I get all of your numbers for the day. And if you want me to just give you the amounts per gram, I have to do that outside of the meal planning program, which means it would take me probably 3 times as long to do all the calculations for that.
Which is why I'm suggesting we simplify and remove. So, like, if we're eating the same thing every day, or if it's there's just so many ways. Like again, I'm looking from the outside. Maybe I'm more of an engineering type of person, or a systems driven person, but yeah, just if we reduce the number of meals, if we reduce the complexity of the meals, then everything can be just a lot simpler.
All right, I'll see what I can do for your meal plan this week with that. And I think that's something that we'll have to continue the open dialogue with, on what I can do on my back end, and what you're expecting.
And Neil, I think I mentioned this when we came in, when we were halfway through. I kind of said, like, I expected this to be like, you're going to eat a cup of brown rice and a chicken breast, and you're going to have, having lamb for a few days, and then some fish, and then some beef, and then some this and some this, and all of this stuff. It just seems like a lot when from my point of view, is the goal not to hit the certain number of protein, fat, carb intakes that we need, fueled at certain times of day, under a certain calorie restriction, or feed for whatever you want? Like, are those not the main drivers in this?
That sounds like macro tracking, and that, to me, that sounds like show prep. Like, that's what that sounds like to me. To Alex's point, I mean, that there's show prep, but Alex is coming from a sports nutritional background, where she just stated that there's a little bit of variety in everything, because everything that's being prescribed in your recipes cater to different reasons or different aspects of your health along this fitness journey. So that sounds like you're looking for show prep, where you eat the same thing every meal, like every day, 7 days a week.
Yeah. I guess so. I'm perfectly happy to do that. So if it's like, hey, you're going to eat 2 eggs for breakfast every single day forever, it's like, I can do that. I can eat 2 eggs. Or you're going to have oatmeal at 2 p.m. every single day. I can do that. I can eat oatmeal at 2 p.m. every day. Like that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff is the stuff that I like. It's just very, very simple. It's very easy. It doesn't take a lot of thinking. You just fall into the natural rhythm. And then if in 10 days in, I'm just like, guys, I can't have any more cottage cheese. Like, it's just like, almonds and cottage cheese just aren't working for me. Then it's like, then things can kind of change if they have to, right? But we're certainly into this.
My goal would be to stay ahead of that and not allow you to get to that food fatigue, because depending on what Neil and I are working on, and maybe this is why you want the forecasted plan, but I might not be able to just swap out a recipe like that.
But exactly. Yeah. I don't know, because I don't know all of the magic you guys are doing behind the scenes. Even now, I'm asking for something that I think goes against what your goals are. But the bridge is just like, if you're like, Mark, you have to have like the nutritional yeast. right? I've been putting it on. If it's just like you have to have nutritional yeast, then I'll just eat a tablespoon of nutritional yeast, like at a certain time of day, like I would take my medicine, or I would,
it's supposed to go with that meal though. Like there's a reason it's put with that meal.
And I do that. I eat it. I've been sprinkling it on top. I'm just using that as an example for the difference between my version of sustainability and where I think you're hoping I will go. As soon as this challenge is done, most of the things you're asking me to do, I would ignore or wipe away. And so if the goal is in fact to create something that works for me, then I need to change some of my thinking, and you guys can bring me there, certainly. But at the same time, I need you guys to meet me for the type of person that I am, because otherwise, and this is what I learned in this first 30 days, Jacqueline was like, May 29th, as soon as it's over, I want to go back to normal. I was like, well, we can't. And she's like, okay, well, we need a new version of normal then. If I'm supposed to eat a cup of spinach, I'll just eat a cup of spinach. But I don't need like right now, the salad I'm making at night, I've prepped as much as I can, but it still takes like 20 minutes to put together what's like a very simple salad, just because it's just like, it's got the peas, and it's got the snap peas, and it's got the lentils, and it's got the spinach, and it's got it's just like so many different versions of greens, as opposed to just let's pick a green and stick with it. So I don't know how to, I know that what I'm telling you goes against what you're hoping to do. And I know what you're telling me. I'm just like, I don't know how sustainable that is long-term. I don't know how we bridge that gap.
Well, I will take your feedback and recreate this week's week 6, week 1 meal plan, and see how we can work on that together. And hope that some of the amounts for the vegetables will still be like a quarter of a spaghetti squash.
Or 18 grams of spaghetti squash, you mean, right? Or 1 cup of spaghetti squash. A quarter of a spaghetti squash doesn't mean anything, because I go to the grocery store and I can get a little one or I can get a big one. And so I'm just kind of going like, well, I'll kind of get a smaller one. But that's what I'm talking about. Like a quarter of a spaghetti squash doesn't mean anything. What is a quarter of a spaghetti squash?
We would weigh the spaghetti squash divided by 4.
Great. But what size spaghetti squash am I buying?
Medium. Go with I would say if how I interpret that is I would get, if you're giving me that kind of measurement, then I'm going to be generous with it, because I know the caloric intake in spaghetti squash is like near almost nothing.
See, I don't know that. So I would lean towards picking. So the other day when it was like 2 sweet potatoes, I went and I found sweet potatoes, but they were these tiny little sweet potatoes, because it's like, I don't this is what I'm talking about. Like if I'm purchasing 65 different ingredients, or if I'm prepping all these different meals, and each one of these has room for this indecision, that indecision stops me.
So your vegetables are way lower in calories. There would always be a specific amount for your nuts, your seeds that are calorically dense, higher in fats, your animal proteins, higher in fats, higher in calories, higher in protein. Your vegetables, there is wiggle room with the vegetables.
It's almost like a green card. It's almost like a pass. Yeah. Like, you want to eat more veggies, you can eat those veggies. You want to have an extra large squash, have the extra large squash, because there is no nutritional value.
Okay, really. I didn't know that, but I also want more precision within the challenge than that, because.
So part of my hesitation here is that you're already telling me that it's overwhelming the amount of work that it's going to take, and now you're asking for it to be more
discipline. There's freedom in discipline. Yeah. There's freedom and discipline. If I get up at 4 every day, I don't have to think about it. If I do the same thing every day, I don't have to think about it. So I find a lot of freedom within the room of that. And if something has to change, my change is a 1 degree change. It's not a rethink. It's like this thing that's not working at 10:30, it needs to be at 10:32. Perfect. That's like a tweak. Or this meal here needs to be swapped out for that meal. Perfect. It's a 1 degree difference, as opposed to let's step back every 3 days and refigure out everything, how it works, which is what's happening right now. So yeah, I wouldn't by nature go and be like, oh, it says 1 spaghetti squash, I'm gonna go pick the biggest one that's here, because it's I'm cooking meals right now, And I'm like mixing this stuff. And even though I'm hungry, it's like, I'm not going to lick the spoon because those aren't today's calories. Those are like Tuesday's calories. And you've worked hard to establish a daily caloric intake or a weekly average or whatever it is. And so for me to just make stuff up or change things or whatever defeats the purpose of the structure that you put in place, right?
And the structure has been working so far. You have seen amazing gains in the 5 weeks that you've been following it.
Yes. I take no issue with the results. The results are certainly something that I want to do and want to keep doing. And I'm really excited about where we're going. It's just the process.
So Alex and I will work on that. So we'll work on that. We'll get back to you with that. And I have to work with Alex so we can make sure that the plan is consistent. The fitness plan is also consistent with the nutrition plan. And then we can definitely share a bit more with you. Okay. But Alex, do you want to talk a little bit about what we're thinking about the new week 1?
So for the new week 1, we were going to bring you back up to your caloric intake for your metabolic needs. I have to run the numbers again with your latest weight from Neil, since you haven't been on the scale, and run those numbers. So I don't know the exact caloric intake.
I'm sure, Neil, I don't know if you want us to get together like outside or something and me weigh in again, but I do know over the last week I've dropped a lot of weight. Like, I'll send you my photos and stuff today, of course, but I've dropped a lot of weight over the last week. So
very exciting.
Those numbers from 2 weeks ago may not be accurate.
Cool. Yeah, we can totally do that. And then as far as the training side of it, we're going to continue to lift heavy, but my challenge for you, the progression, is I want you to see how heavy you can lift. So when I send you the plan, within the rate, oh God, let me start over again. In the rep count, if it says 8 to 10, I want you to be maxing out by the 8th or 10th rep. So if you think you can lift it 11 or 12 times, you got to go heavier, Mark. Like, I want you to really push yourself with this new shift going back to week 1.
We'll have to figure out bench press then. I might have to buy a bar or something, because yesterday Jack was spotting me with 50s, but I did the 10. So I did the 10 chest presses at 50, and then I went down to 45s, and I did 3 sets of 15 at 45. Now it's like by the end, like my arms are shaking and stuff. Like, but for chest presses, at least I might need to go heavier. I think for everything else, I got lots of weight that is uncomfortable. But
well, if you're getting shaky at the end, that's where I want you to be. So whether that means I need to play with rep count, or going back to when you and I did our session together, I had you play with the weights, with the squeeze. Yes. Remember, you held that piece of paper.
Yes.
Do something like that, like really fire up and activate the pecs, and then jump right into the set. So we can work with each other on that as well, with some tips and tricks to help maximize your weights.
I know this is our normal cheery conversation that we normally have. Everybody seems very uncomfortable. So do you guys want to just say, I mean, I can cut this all out. Do you just want to say what it is that you're feeling or thinking or worried about? Because part of, I think, why this reset's important to me is because we've been polite and working together and whatnot. We're still on the same team. I still want to go there, but you can say whatever you want to say. We can cut it out if it's rude or not proper.
From my perspective here, I feel like there's a bit of a disconnection from everyone, because I feel like when Alex and I had the initial conversation with you, you were looking for a sustainable way. You wanted to make sure that basically what I took away from our first conversation is that you're a very busy person, and you want things to be as simple and straightforward as possible. Yes. And I feel like the big question here is the nutrition. And I think what Alex is bringing to you is recipes that you can make in bulk, that you can divide within the days. And I feel like now you're coming at us and you're saying, well, now I want to weigh, now I want to measure. I don't know if you know if like that adds so much more work to your meal plan. Because to sit here and to weigh everything out, like for myself personally, on Sunday's my shopping prep day. Yes. And I'm at Costco at like 10, 11 in the morning. And then I get home and I start meal prep at 1, and I cook right till like 6, 7, 8 p.m. at night, depending on what I'm cooking.
I hear you. And I understand that the fresh food can't be prepared and held that long. So for example, on Wednesday night, I spent, I had that little video. I was like, I've prepared this and I prepared this and I prepared this. Yeah. That was 3 hours of prep, but each day I still need to spend 45 minutes to another hour of prepping fresh stuff. So if it was like
what fresh stuff are you prepping?
Well, we can go through the meal plan, but I mean, there's a ton of fresh stuff. So the spaghetti, squash, turkey, and broccoli is a great example of something easy that I love, and it's great. Mm-hmm. But the salmon salad, lettuce wraps have to be prepped fresh. The spring salad has to be prepped fresh. The high protein peanut butter oatmeal has to be made each day fresh. The 2 eggs have to be cooked fresh. So despite
the eggs you can eat leftover, the wraps, you can have the lettuce already cut up, like for your lettuce wraps, you can have the mixture made for 2 days ahead. It doesn't take long to whip it together, and then you're going to divide it in half, because I believe 1 serving is half a can. And then you can have
5 ounces. So it's 5/6 of a can actually. But I mean, that's not the point I'm making. Like the point I'm trying to make is, Neil, I hear you. And if it was like, hey, you're going to eat lentils this week, I would cook lentils, and then I'd be able to serve them out, and they would last for 7 days, or they would last for 6 days or whatever. But if I went through this, I'm spending probably anywhere from 10 to 14 hours a week on meal prep right now. And I've been living this, and I'm talking like right now, this is our simplified version. Before it was even crazier, but I just see ways where I'm like, it doesn't have to be like this, right? Like I just know it can be simpler, because we have very, very simple meals, and then we have very complex meals. If we just grabbed all of the simplest things, then I'd be like, perfect. We're making this a lot easier. Like, I would challenge both of you guys, and I know you guys have your own meal prep. I know, Neil, you've done this before, but what I think you guys are putting me through, I think, is unnecessarily complex. And I think there's ways we can make it simpler.
Okay, so then Alex and I will take that away, and we'll work on that. And then we give us till, because now I know Alex needs to work on her program. So yeah, we can work on that together, and we can get that back to you.
So would more of the one pot, 1 pan sheet stuff where you just bake it and divide it into 3 or 4 servings, would that work? Because that sounds really simple to me compared to having to portion it out every day. Like if
I can go.
You could zero out your scale with the bowl on it, put the soup in the bowl, divide that by 3 or 4 servings, whatever it is, and then every day you ladle out that much onto your scale, and that is your serving.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd be open to it, I'd rather go through the 5 weeks of meals that we have and list out the ones that I think that are most aligned with me. Like the slow cooker lamb and white bean stew is not something that, if that was the thing that I was eating for 7 days, then it would be perfect. I would make it once, and then I would freeze 3 of them, and in individual portions, and I would serve 4 of them fresh, and it would be very, very easy. You make it once and off you go. That's not something that I would necessarily pick for myself from how, what's the word? Satisfying? Sensational? There's like some word for how substantial it is and satisfying and stuff. Satiated. Yeah. Like, so some of the recipes are more and some of them are less, and you got to balance all that stuff out. But yeah, if it was that stew, that lamb stew, for example, then yeah, I would cook it once on a Sunday afternoon, and I would eat it in individual portions for the week, and that would be very, very easy. I have to prep it, but there's no thought. Like, I have it memorized now. It's a half a cup of oatmeal, half a cup of water, half a cup of egg whites, 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, and a teaspoon and a half of chia seeds. Like,
delicious. Like,
easy. I can do it time. If I want to prep them a few in advance, I can. The oatmeal with the yogurt and stuff, I prepped all 3 of them, individual containers. Like, just measure them out, individual containers in the fridge. They last for at least 3 days. They could probably last for 4. So there's there's so many things in here where it's just yes, I can do this. Yes, I can do this all the time. It's the complexity, like the beef, sweet potato, and rapini skillet. I can make that once, and I can keep it in a container, and I'm eating it for 4 days now, and it's fine. It's just that in itself is. It just seems like just an overly complicated thing, as opposed to cabbage and eggs, or eggs and potato, or just if we keep things to 2 or 3 ingredients per recipe, and it's the same portions and it's the same size, it reduces the food waste. It means that I'm not buying something and using it for I can buy stuff and use it up, and buy stuff and use it up, and I can just cycle through.
Just to go back to this beef and rapini skillet, I thought that was a super simple recipe. So what would you have taken out of it? I have ground beef, onion, ginger, garlic, sweet potato, rapini, and a little bit of salt to taste. So what would you have removed out of that? Just so when
I wouldn't make it for breakfast at all. Like I would rather go with one of the breakfasts, the smoked salmon 8 cups, super, super simple. The cabbage and eggs, super simple. Having oatmeal for breakfast, super simple. It's not that I would take something out of the beef, sweet potato, and rapini skillet. I wouldn't make that. The rapini skillet with beef would be a great dinner. That would make sense to me for a dinner or whatever, to make it once and then be able to portion it out or whatever. It's just when you add that with the spring set, this is why I couldn't figure out how to give you guys the feedback. Each thing in itself makes total sense. It's when you put them all together that they start to stack, and I go, why does every meal have to be a little bit more complex when it could be like, this is the complex meal, and here's something that's super simple, and here's something you don't have to think about. That's how I would prefer this to be.
Okay, I'll take that feedback and see what I can do on my end. Because I thought I was picking really simple things that you could make in batch and just portion out. So I will go further into doing that.
And again, this is on me that I've not communicated this well or known how to. This is on me. Every step when I give feedback, I know that we're pushing back and forth a little bit now, but every step when I give feedback, you have taken it into account and worked it in. I have not known how to give you this feedback, and I didn't know before we started any of this stuff. And now that I do, it's just like, okay, let's see how we can really lock this in, because when this is all over, I don't want to lose what I've worked for. I will, I even said to Jack, like, I don't know if I'm right now I'm leaner and I have muscle mass. I'm sure I'm going to bulk up. I'm sure things are going to change. I might arrive at this place and love the way I look. But if I end up going even more aggressive in this challenge, and then I return back to like a less aggressive state, how I am right now, I'm very, very pleased with. And I still have like, some stuff around my midriff and stuff, but I'm okay with it. Like, so I can already picture for myself, like, oh, this is what normalcy may look like. It may get more aggressive for the next few months, and then I may return to more of a normal state, and that's fine. Jack made steak for the kids the other day, beautiful steaks, and I was smelling them. I was like, oh, it's so great. So normalcy to me in the future would be to like eat dinner with them. But for me to know that steak of a certain size has a certain number of calories or protein or this or that, and then to only eat that amount, that's not to be on like a meal plan every single meal, every single day forever, but find some kind of middle ground between what I was doing before and what we're doing now.
Does your family do a meal plan every week? Do you have like, what's for dinner every day of the week? Do you have a list?
Yes, it's typically only done like 3 or 4 days in advance, because we just shop every 3 or 4 days typically. But yeah, we have a chalkboard. Jacqueline writes the meals down. The kids know exactly what's in the hopper.
I wonder if her and I could work together on allowing you to be eating more of the same foods at dinner time. If I could give you your
not within this meal plan, please, no. I mean, not within the challenge. Afterwards, perhaps, yeah. But like, I asked her. So we went through everything. We sat down. I was like, well, what's really important to you? And I asked. That was one of the questions. Like, would it be important for you if we align these meals so that way it's like if you're having, if I know next Tuesday you're going to be having chicken breast, then I'm having chicken breast with you, but mine doesn't have the sauce that yours has on it, or like if it's prepped the same way. And Jacqueline was like, that sounds overly complicated. So
I thought it might help with the food shopping and variety of foods and fridge space and all that. But okay, that's something we can work on then.
So you have an anniversary coming up.
Yes.
Which is super exciting.
Yeah, I have to make it special only because last year was our 20th anniversary together, 15 years married. We booked this trip. We booked this trip to, gosh, I don't even remember the name of the islands. I want to say St. Lucia.
Yeah, you were telling me about this. You showed me pictures.
Yeah, and we booked this private apartment on a mountain overlooking like a volcano in the ocean. And we were going to fly business class, which Jacqueline's never done before. I've never done for pleasure. Like we were like all out. We booked it in February, and then of course everything happened. It all got canceled. And now we're about to have our second anniversary in lockdown. So, but we was like, what should we do? What should we do? And she's just like, I want to go to the keg, like something very simple. And I was like, yeah, I can have a steak and salad and broccoli. But this is a perfect example of like what I'm hoping we can go with it. Like if I know that day I'm going to have this steak that might have 800 calories or something, then I would prefer to reduce my calories the day before or the day after, and that day just to allow for this thing rather than, at least again, that's the way that I look at this is like, if it's a bank and we're putting things in and taking things out, then
body doesn't work exactly like that. It's not that simple. So you having that influx in caloric intake on that one day for your anniversary may actually really help boost your metabolism up and not add it all in fat. It's not as black and white as it appears to be caloric wise. There's a lot more to it than just tracking the energy in and energy out. And doing that too fine tune can actually cause a lot of health damage on your body because it's not a bank and it doesn't work that black and white. So for your anniversary, just as I did with your cheesecake for your birthday, I didn't change anything in the meal plan. I would say, go enjoy it. If you're doing that every day, then we'd have to work.
But for this challenge, I want to know, I want to stick within the plan. So go enjoy it is like a medium squash to me. It's like that. I don't want the room for interpretation.
Well, how would you feel if we, and I hate this term, but what if we called it your cheat meal? Go enjoy your cheat meal, your anniversary dinner with your wife. I don't like the term cheat meal.
I don't want a cheat meal on the challenge. There's a challenge, there's a plan. I want to stick to it. So that's why I even texted you on my birthday where I was like, how much can I have of this? So
I think this comes down to a lot of the anxieties you have around food and on food freedom. And I think by May, I'm hoping we can make some progress in the mindset around this. But right now I'm being very clear for this challenge for the 90 days that have already started for week 6 or week 1 or whatever we're calling it. I want structure. That's important to me. And I want to stick to the structure. That's important to me. So I didn't come into this with the intention of food freedom. That wasn't something like where I was like, one of my goals on this list is I want to learn food freedom. You have taught me things for sure. And for sure I've learned lessons, but I'm saying going forward, I want to know what the structure is and I want to make myself proud by sticking to that structure.
So this is all about the reset too, right? Okay. Yeah, fair. I feel like that's a little bit contradictory of what you said to me on the phone. Like I'm a little bit confused now because, and I'm totally going to botch this as I'm saying this. I think I'm just a little bit confused now. Like you've reset the 90-day challenge.
Yes. Which
Alex and I felt very strongly against. Yes. But you went ahead and did it anyways.
Yes.
And so we're trying to come to you and offer you solutions, but now it's just, I don't really know what to say. Like I think I'm a little bit at a standstill right now because obviously the nutrition is the biggest struggle here. And I know that at the very beginning, you expressed that to Alex, that you struggled with food and Alex is trying to assist you with that and trying to show you easy, sustainable ways to eat and to also achieve your fitness goals. Yes. But then you turn around and say, it's pulling me away from my family. It's taking too much time. So we're trying to add that to help you to be with your family. But now you're pushing back and you're saying, no, I don't want that.
No, yes, what you just said, everything. Yes. Hey, for your anniversary, we're going to release you from the schedule and have a cheat day during the 90-day challenge. I don't want that.
Okay, so if this goes back to what your other friends are saying to you about how you're not being authentic, this is not part of the plan, you can't have a cheat meal, you can't have cheesecake, then that is completely normal as part of any diet. I have cheat meals.
I'm telling you guys, I want to go to the keg. I want to have a 20-ounce ribeye steak. I want to have broccoli and their blue cheese salad.
So then what you need to do.
And so we can look at the calorie counts. We can look at the macros. We can look at all that stuff. Yeah, we have 2 months to work it in advance. What I don't want is just go and eat whatever you want and have your cheat day because I want you to understand that you're released from this schedule and just like, my birthday was part of the plan. Perfect. You got me a cake. Perfect. It's awesome. I asked, how much can I have? if it's part of the plan and there's a certain day and there's a certain reason, and I understand that this is what we're having because it's part of that structure, then that's me staying true. But
so then what you're saying is for the anniversary dinner, when you go, when you order the keg, order out whatever we're allowed to do, Alex is going to tell you what to eat. So we're going to go onto the keg website and we're going to sit down together and we're going to be like, hey, you want steak? You can have this steak. You want potatoes? You're only allowed this much potato.
Yes.
Okay. If that's what you want. Great. Yeah.
Yes. And so we can forecast these few things coming up, or Jacqueline's like, hey, it would be great to have a date night every 2 weeks. I sat down with her and we looked at restaurants that we would typically order from where she can get what she wants and I can get what I want. Hey, Brothers has a 6-ounce salmon fillet with broccoli and asparagus. We can calculate that. That's very, very easy to do. We can assume that they use olive oil or this or that or whatever. The keg, it's like, I want a 20-ounce ribeye, which I usually like. That's not on the table right now. You can have a 10-ounce New York strip. Perfect. I can have a 10-ounce New York strip with some this or some that. So I think we want the same things. I'm just saying that the intentions behind it, or the structure for how we do it, is I want the structure. I don't want...
You want the black and white. Yes, that's what you want.
Please. I am super black and white about everything. And you guys want to pull me into grays, and grays make me just so uncomfortable. I want the black and white.
I do want to acknowledge how black and white you were before and how much progress we've made, even with your time and schedule of what you're eating. So I am confident that we can work through these hurdles and work with this. So can you just let me know when you want to start those bi-weekly date nights? Like, will it be this Friday or will it start next Friday? And I will just leave that square and edit it in myself for what you can have and from what restaurant. And I love that you're going to support local restaurants. I think that's so important right now.
Well, we try to go to independent restaurants most of the time. It's just sometimes they're really hard to find calorie count information. All that nutritional information from independent restaurants can be a challenge. So
true.
And they tend to add lots of extra stuff. So we went through everything, and we're just like, okay, these are the places where it's like it's very, very clear what we're getting, and it's good, simple food.
Have you tried Chatter Paws? They're really good too. Or like Shrimp Cocktail. I think they're the same owners.
Yeah, Chatter Paws is great. It's just very, very small portions, very, very expensive. We used to go there all the time, but it's just like, yeah. Okay, so Neil, I want to address this real quick. I know time is tight, but you were saying that you were kind of, is it more clear what I'm saying in terms of like
you want
the challenge reset? Yes, please.
Yeah. Yep, I got it. Yeah.
Like, yeah, on your workout, like I called you too that one time where I was like, hey, I just realized I did a second core workout, but on your thing, it doesn't say core. Should I do core or not do core? Like other people might go like, oh, it doesn't say it. Perfect. I don't have to. But I wanted to check with you because I was like, I want to follow the plan. I want to stick to the plan.
I love the dynamics here of you wanting black and white. Neil and I are very colorful people.
Yeah, I get it. You want to be told what to do, and you're going to follow it 100%.
That is my goal.
Which is what was not happening in the first 30 days.
Because we were telling you what to do.
So the first 2 weeks, I didn't.
Right, because we talked about this.
Yes, and on the 16th, I mean, Neil, we had a call, and at one point you said, Mark, I remember this quote. You said, Mark, do you think we're just not listening to you? And I took a moment and responded, and I was like, well, yeah, I mean, I feel like I keep saying this, and I guess so. I feel like, yes, you're not listening to me. I'm trying to tell you guys, but I didn't have the words. I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't know. So the first few weeks I didn't really know. And then I started to take it more seriously, and then I started to figure it out. And then I was like, oh, I should actually respect this much more. So great example, Alex, you want me to eat within an hour and a half window of a workout for my second meal. But up until this week, if I was doing this on a conference call at 10:30, my meal would be sitting here waiting for me to get off at 11 o'clock. I would eat, but that would go outside that window that you really wanted. It wouldn't be 10:30 if you told me 10:30. So now I do my workout. I go and I grab my lunch and I prep it. I'm always on a call from 10 to 11. Every single day I'm on a call. But now while I'm on the call, I literally eat. And it's just like I'm eating because I have to eat, because I'm supposed to eat at this time. That's the structure. Like if the plan is like, hey, Mark, you're going to have spaghetti and meatballs. Awesome. I can't wait to have spaghetti and meatballs. As long as it's like, we're doing it for this reason. And you don't even have to tell me like, hey, we've prepped 3 days in advance to make sure that you're ready for the spaghetti and meatballs meal. I would love that. I just don't want it to be this like, like just eat as much as you want, or just take a step and enjoy, like take a break from the challenge. I don't want a break from the challenge. I'm like, I want a 90-day challenge where I can prove to myself that I can do this. The other day I was not sleeping well. It messed everything up. Right? I could not sleep. I was up till 11:45 one night. I only got 4 hours sleep one night. The next night I only got 4.5 hours sleep. So I could tell that like, wow, not sleeping really screwed up my metabolism, really, really destroyed my work. My Thursday workout was a mess. And the whole time I'm doing this workout, I'm like, this is such a waste of time. And I'm like, I should just stop. Like, I'm not even making progress. No, I did the workout. And this is where I've seen success. This is the freedom and discipline. If I stayed up till 11:45 because I couldn't sleep, I would typically in the past go, well, I'm not going to get up until 7 because I need to get my 7 hours sleep. And what I would do is I would give that worry and that staying up late. I would value my sleep so much that I would allow that worry, that staying up late, whatever it is, to push everything off. And then the next day, my whole day would be thrown off. Instead, I said, I got to get up at 4 o'clock. I get up at 4 o'clock. I got to get up at 4 o'clock. It doesn't matter how little sleep I have, because it's so painful. I know how painful only 4 hours sleep will be. It makes it so painful for me that it's like, oh yeah, I have to respect. As much as I need to get up at 4 a.m., I need to go to bed at 9 p.m. And if it's not painful enough, if I don't do that 2 days in a row and realize how important that 9 p.m. going to sleep is. And so when you multiply that across all these different areas of your life, you end up like what I'm learning about myself is that like, yes, that like, wow, next time that I'm barely, like if I'm looking at my calendar or my schedule and I'm like, oh, I guess I'll be staying up till 10 or 11. No, I can't do that. Like I know what it costs me now. It costs me so much. So that's to me what this like cheat windows are, or these things, or this things. Like in these 90 days, I want to have a plan. I want to stick to the plan. If the plan isn't working, we can adjust at any step. If it's not working, if it's like, guys, 10:30, I can't be doing this. Is there some kind of like shake or smoothie I can have instead? You guys can go, oh, maybe, and we can work it in. I just want to work the plan for the next 90 days and then adjust as we need to go. And you guys have been open to that at every step, and you're open to that now. I just haven't been able to tell you all the feedback now where I'm like, this makes sense to me.
Cool. Perfect.
So thank you. I do appreciate this. I really don't like conflict. Like I really, really, really hate conflict. And it makes me
Was this conflict to you?
Yes.
Oh, no, this is nothing.
No?
No.
Okay.
Do you want to fight? We can fight.
Yeah, calling you guys up this week, talking to you guys through this, trying to figure out the email, trying to negotiate all this stuff. I think that's part of why I wasn't sleeping so well and stuff too. It's just, this is something I have to get better at, because
look, feedback is feedback. In my opinion, there was no conflict here. This was just three people who are trying to work with each other, but there was clearly something that wasn't meshing. And then Alex and I were coming from a point where we're a little bit confused. We're like, we were totally against the 90-day reset, but you went ahead and did it anyway. So I think that was a bit of I think that's probably the conflict that you're feeling, because to us, it was just this huge smack in the face. And we were like,
yeah,
okay, we're going to reset.
We've been telling you what to do and not knowing that you weren't following it. So right. when you turn around and say, well, I need to do it better, I'm like, what do you mean? I've been telling you, like, we've told you, here's what you're doing. And so I think getting that out in the open is really helpful. I don't want you to ever feel like you can't be yourself and giving feedback.
No, you can talk as openly with us as possible. It won't hurt our feelings. Okay.
No.
Sure. I appreciate this. I'm glad this wasn't conflict for you guys. It felt like conflict for me, but now I know how direct I can be, and you guys aren't going to get pissed off, and that's fine. This is
in a situation like this. It's good. It's good that you were able, I'm glad that everything's on the table. I'm glad we got to talk, especially in something as sensitive as weight gain, weight loss, transformations. The more information, the more honest, the better, because then we can be proactive instead of like reactive, you know?
Yeah. Okay. And the last thing I will say is, it is remarkable what you can do in a month. Like, holy smokes. I was saying to Jack, like, okay, if at any point I ever need to remind myself of this, like in 1 month, you can change a lot really, really quickly. Mm-hmm. And so that is pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool.
But yeah.
Again, most of the days I'm just like, wow, this is so amazing. Like I am so happy with the progress. I'm so proud. Like I've started wearing colored shirts again, Jack. There's all these little things that have changed that I haven't listed or whatever, but Jack's like, I hate the fact that you wear black every day. And it's just like, but I like wearing black every day. So the other day I pulled some of my old shirts out and I was wearing colors and stuff. And I typically don't do that because typically black is very slimming and it looks great. But I think I look pretty good now in a shirt. So that's good. One of those like little wins where I'm like, yeah, this is so good. Or I put on pants. I put on pants that used to be a little tighter or whatever, and they're like looser. Or like this wristband is like that I've had on for so long is like quite loose. So it's like, I already know, like I must be able to cut this off at this point. I'm fairly certain if I'm still the same weight, at the very least, I've leaned out a lot, and that was the goal that I had. So it's pretty remarkable what you can do in a month.
All right.
Thanks, sir. That was awesome.
Thank you guys. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Talk to you later.
If you want to see how this whole thing got started, you've got to hear this story. Click on the link right over there, check out that video, and I will see you there.